Hello everyone, welcome back to my knowledge share session. Learn with me. Today we are going to continue on the same topic, Groovy on cloud platform integration. How we are going to use Groovy script on various occasions inside the CPI IFlow. Okay, so in that approach we are going to see how we are going to manage the data stores in the CPI with the help of Groovy script. Just have a quick recap on what is a data store. A data store, you can see that in the monitoring section of CPI under the managed stores. Data stores is a temporary storage facility where you can store your messages for a definite period of time. It is not a persistent. That means it is stored forever. It will be stored for some period of time, probably 30 days. Okay, so the CPI provides the facility to store your messages or any details, files, any text, whatever the information you want. You can store it for a different period of time. So these data stores, you can view that in the monitoring section as is shown here. Okay, so once you go to the data store, you can name your data stores, and each data store will have a visibility called a global or IFlow. A global means this data store will be accessible to all IFlows inside your tenant. If it is a IFlow means it will be visible only to that IFlow which created this data stores. Inside the data store you can store your messages. Each message will have an ID, and these messages will have some due date kind of things, right? Created on March, 2 days, like that. So effectively it will have a 30 days. This due date is you have to attend to these messages and every 2 days. That is it says 2. But when you see that message inside, this retain until July 7. That means some 90 days or 60 days, like that. Okay, so this is how the data stores will be used inside the CPI. But in today's session, what we are going to see that how we are going to manage this data store using a Groovy script. Okay, let us go to the IFlow now. There are two ways to handle the data stores. One is you can use it via a palette. The IFlow will have a palette. Using that palette you can manage the data stores. That is a normal case, everyone will be using that. But we do have an alternate option to read or write the messages in the data store using a Groovy script. Okay, before we go into the Groovy script, let us just review back how we are going to use the palette for read or write into the data store. Okay, let me open one IFlow. So this is the IFlow. So inside the IFlow you will have an option called this one, persistence, right? Inside the persistence you will have a different options: persistent, write variables, and data store. Inside the data store options you have 4 methods. One, you can read using a get method to read a message from the data store, or you can write a message into a data store. Select means you can select multiple messages from the data store, and you can delete a message from the data store. Okay, so these are the 4 options available for the data store operations using a normal palettes. So just an example, I used one write palette and I used one read palette. Okay, for more details of a data store using a palette, I already have one video. You can review on that. Okay, now what we will do is using this same palette operation, we are going to do that in the Groovy script. How we are going to do that in the Groovy script? You may have a question that when you are having a easy method of palettes, why we need the Groovy script, right? You are right, but what will happen is, suppose you are doing a very big integration flow and you are doing one Groovy operations. Inside the Groovy script, sometimes you may have to refer some messages or refer some data inside the Groovy script itself. So in that case, you cannot come out and do the palette and get it back. So that there should be an it's like a reading a file or reading some value from the database inside the Groovy script. The same way, we are going to read some data inside the Groovy script. Okay, this is for the introduction for this. So you know what is a data store and what we were using to read or write into the data store using the palette. Now we will go to the Groovy script and I will write some statements to read or write into the data store. Okay. Now I will go to the another IFlow where I will create one Groovy script. There we will write some Groovy statements to read the message from the data store. Okay, now I am inside the IFlow. Let me create one IFlow where I am going to read a message from the data store. Okay, let me open up this. I already created one template, so that I am opening the template. So it's a very simple IFlow which I am going to demonstrate using a simulate only. So this is IFlow. Let me open up. I will edit it. Okay, so I added a Groovy script palette, and then I will be going inside. I give the name as Groovy to read the data store. Okay, so let me go to inside the Groovy script. So there is a blank template. Initially you will get some predefined Groovy script which you can modify it. So I deleted everything. I am going to write from the scratch. Okay, so I will copy paste one by one and I will explain you what I am going to do it. So there are 3 import classes. I need that to do the operation. So import, this is for handling the message. This is for data store services, and this is the runtime operations. Just remember, the stars are currently not available, not allowed. I mean, it gives us a warning which you can ignore for right time. Later on we can find out the exact class and put it here instead of doing the wildcard star. So when you are saving, it may give some warnings which right now we can ignore it for the demonstration purpose. Okay, so hope you understand this import classes which are straightforward, so no need of explaining much. Then this is the your function starts, Groovy function start. So I will put it here and I will close it. Okay, now this is the service instance we have to create. So define a service instance which is a factory data store which is coming from this package, a new factory data stores and get service. Okay, so the service instance is created, and now what we have to do is we'll copy all these things and then I will tell you. That means if service is not null, so that will work like that. So this is a basic validation purpose to avoid any runtime exceptions. So we said that service is not null, then we are going to do the things. Now read the data store entry. So here you have to note it down. The service This service has a method called get, which is equivalent to the get which I showed you, get palette. So service.get, and this is the your data store name you have to specify, and this is the ID you have to specify. Okay, so which is equivalent to here. Let me go here, data store. I put my messages. Here, and inside my messages I am going to read this message M1. Okay, I am going to read the message M1. Remember, the one message which you are trying to read, that should be a global. So using the Groovy script with this data service class, you cannot access the local messages, local data store. You can access only the data store which is having a global visibility. That you have to remember that. So this DS entry equal to service.get and your data store name and message ID. This data store name should be a global, and this message ID. Okay, again I am checking. If that is not null, then string get. This is another method, get data as an array. So this DS entry instance will have a method which will pull all the messages in a form of array, string array, and store it in a result. Right. So two methods you have to remember for service: the get palette method, and one that entry is defined. From that entry, you are going to use the get data array as a use the get data array method to retrieve the data from the message, which will be in the form of a string. So finally the result will be stored in the message.setBody. You know these statements. Message.setBody is which will put back your whatever you read from the data store, that will be put back in the message and put it as a body. Right. The else statement is if the data store name is wrong or something like that, then you will get a no data store message. That's it. Finally, you have to return back my message, right? So I will copy this. I will return my message. I will return my message. Okay. Now I will apply it. So as I told you, there will be a warning. What warning is? Warning number 1. There is only one warnings, no errors. The warning will tell you this one: wildcard are not allowed for this time. Okay. Hope you know it. The script is very simple. We are going to do two services. One is a data service instance. From the data service instance, you are going to get the message as a string. DS entry to get data as an array. These are string operations. Okay. Finally, the result will be stored in the message will be stored in a variable called result. That result I am putting back in the message body. Okay. Hope you understood the script now. Let us test it now. Okay. I will apply it and I will close it. Okay. I will save now. What I will do is I will do the simulation start, simulation end. Let me simulate it. So what it is going to do is it is going to read a message M1 from my messages data store. So simulation is successful. So in the beginning the body does not have anything. I did not send any body. So after this script, it has to read from my data store my message and message M1. So at the end of the Groovy script, if you check the body, you are getting a message. This was the message I stored in that, in the M1. Let us go and verify that. Message 1, this M1. Okay. To view that. Okay. This I selected it. I will download it. Okay. So we'll go to M1 zip. So message body will be see the same message we got it, right? Order ID ABC 12345. Go to this one, order ID ABC 12345, the details. Okay. Now you are clear about how using the Groovy script, how we can read the message from the data store. The point to remember is that you can read a message. You can read a message of a data store which is having a visibility of global, right? That is only the limitations we have in this. Otherwise, there is using these classes, data service, and data store. You can read a message from the data store. Okay. Now, next exercise we will see how we are going to write a message into a data store. That we will see now. Okay. Now we will go to another IFlow where we are going to write some messages into a data store as a new message. Okay. I will create another IFlow called the demo Groovy 4a. Okay. So this is the Groovy script. I created it. Here I just will directly explain to you just to avoid the time consuming the video time. Let me open it. So this is my Groovy script. Here you have to have you have to remember another two helper classes which we are going to use it, which is called DataConfig, right? So the DataConfig and the DataBean class, two the additional classes which we are going to use it to write into a data store. The reason is the DataBean will store the exact message which you are going to write it, and the DataConfig class is going to store your metadata of your message, sorry, data store. Okay. So metadata, what do you mean by metadata of data store means data store name, this like data store name, what are its configuration, like whether it is a global or whether your message which you are going to be return we have a facility to overwrite if the ID already exists, those kind of configurations, which these are all the metadata of your data store, that you will store it in the config class. Okay. So two instances you have to remember. One is the DataBean class and other one is DataConfig-class. With these two helper classes we are going to write the message into a data store. Okay. So I will put all these things, Groovy script, in my description of my video so that you can use it. Just I'll re-explaining. These are all the import classes, import packages which you are going to import, and the Groovy message start here. So I will read the body, whatever the message I am sending, that I am putting as a payload. As I said, tell you the service instance, I am going to create a data service class service instance. After that, if the service is not null, then I am going to create a DataBean instance. The DataBean instance is going to store my whatever the message I am sending, that will be stored in a form of a bytes, right? UTF-8 byte. So my message will be stored inside the DataBean class. After that, I have to define my data store configurations. data store configurations are stored in the DataConfig instance, which will have the metadata properties like what is my data store name, what is my message ID, and whether my message can be overwritten or not. That means in this case I already have that E1 in my data store. I am going to overwrite it. Otherwise it will throw some exceptions if that ID is otherwise it will create a new message ID. Okay. Finally, the result will be stored in the whatever you have written. That result will be stored in the form of a message in the data store, and the whole set will be stored in a variable called result. Right. That's all. I'm going to return back my message as it is. I did not modify my messages here. Okay. Now what we'll do is we will simulate this. And do that. Let me go back to my screen. So I will do a simulation start, simulation end. Okay. Now what I will do is I'm going to pass my message which are going to be stored in the data store. This is my new message stored inside the data store. Okay. You can pass anything. You can pass a JSON file, whatever the XML file, anything you can pass it. Just for testing purpose, I am passing a simple string. Okay. Now I will simulate it. So simulation is successful. So when I come back, in the body is no change in the body because it is going to be the same. What we are going to do is now we will go to data store and verify whether the data is stored or not. I will go to data store. This is my data store. So this is the new one we are writing. I put E1. You remember in the Groovy script I mentioned as E1. Message as E1, right? Message ID will be E1. So E1 is stored today. So there is no due now. It is still waiting. So let me download it and see what is the data stored here. Let me download it. Even there is no header, I passed it. So body, notepad. See, this is my new message stored in the data store. The same message which I passed is stored here. Okay. Hope you got the idea of how we can manage the data store using a Groovy script for a read and for a write. Right. Hope you got the point. Please do your comments. Please put your questions in the comment box. I will be very happy to reply back. And thank you so much for watching my video. Okay, thank you so much.